Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Community Board 7's Executive Committee meeting. My name is Barbara Stronzer, and I'm currently First Vice Chair of Community Board 7. I will read our guidelines to start the meeting. On April 20th, 2023, Mayor Adams issued Executive Order number 387, extending the state of emergency through May 20th, 2023. Accordingly, boards are able to continue to act under the state of emergency section of the video conferencing law. This allows the board to continue remotely. Minutes and video recording will be made available on our website. Controls are as follows if you are calling in on the meeting. To hear all available commands, enter ** on your phone. *6 to mute or unmute yourself. *9 to virtually raise your hand. We will run the meeting as follows. Our code of conduct consists of Bronx Community Board 7 has the right to remove and or ask a member of the public to leave a meeting or block participation of anyone who engages in inappropriate conduct, including but not limited to obscene or offensive images or language, personal attacks, threats, or any other behavior that reasonably impedes the orderly administration of the meeting. Repeated offenses will be reviewed by the board's executive committee or any other assigned committee for a ban of the participant. The amount of time to be objectively determined by the above committee in the event of repeated disruptive behavior. If in-person outbursts or attacks continue, this will be considered disturbing the peace and the authorities shall be summoned. Everyone beside the speaker or presenter will stay muted throughout the meeting. After each presentation is over, I will inquire if committee members have questions. Committee members will signify that they have a question by pressing the raised hand button on the screen or request to speak through the chat or when the chair opens the floor. Only those recognized by the chair of the committee will be allowed to speak during the allotted time. We will stay on topic with the agenda items. Any other items will be acknowledged by the chair in new business or addressed at the next meeting, granted there is time and the committee agrees on the topic. Following the questions, discussion, and public comment portion, the committee will begin their discussions after each presentation or agenda item and will conclude with the decision to vote on a recommendation. When the agenda is finished, the meeting will be adjourned. If there are any questions related to meeting software or to our process, please use the chat function or raise hand function now or contact our district manager. Okay. We will move on to attendance. Barbara Stronzer is present. Eric Asensio. Eric? Not yet. Betty Arce.
Betty Arce present.
Thank you. Yahira Arias.
Shahira Arias present.
Michelle Avila.
Michelle Avila present.
Thank you. Andrew Leosa. Andrew. Loris Acosta.
Loris Acosta present.
Thank you. Edgar Ramos. Edgar.
Edgar Ramos present.
Thank you. Chad Royer.
Chad Royer present.
Thank you. Victor Saldana. Victor? Ruth Caraballo.
Ruth Caravaggio, present.
Thank you. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We have a quorum. All right, next item, we will take a look at the minutes from our previous meeting. All right, I'll scroll through them slowly. We brought up the Yankee scholarships and some upcoming events that the community board had planned, flagging ceremony. We had our chairperson's update. And we discussed the screening for a new district manager. Then went into executive session. All right, after that, we had a vote. And we heard about the mural projects that were taking place in our board area. And we brought up the procedure for liquor licenses. And then we had our committee reports. And we discussed the next meeting's agenda. All right, is there anything anybody would like to bring up relating to our minutes from the last meeting?
Barbara,
Yes.
could you scroll down? I think, just want to make sure that we indicate, I think it was where it says Andrew, I'm sorry, could you scroll back? Wherever Andrew's name is mentioned, we don't have his last name. It says board member Andrew, I think it just says, so I just think we should add his last name.
Okay, where is that? Do you? Is it
Um,
the committees?
No, it wasn't in committee meetings. It was further back. If I can't see, there it is. Last week,
Andrew, right here.
yeah,
Okay.
it just had his name. Okay, his
Okay.
last. Okay,
Anything else?
And sorry, I
Well-
missed it. This is Andrew Leos. I am present.
Okay, thank you, Ann.
I see other board members' last names not present either. I wasn't sure if that was just for
I'll circle.
congruence.
I'll circle back. This is Ruth. I'll circle back and make sure that all the first and last names are listed.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, any other changes, concerns, corrections? All right, with the changes that were brought up, do we have a motion to accept the minutes?
I move to accept the minutes with the revisions.
Okay, do we have a
Check.
second?
I second.
All right, all in favor?
hi.
Aye. All right, so we will accept them as noted. All right. All right, we'll move on to the district manager's update. Yaira, are you ready?
Okay, yes, I am ready. This is,
Yes, go ahead.
No, he goes first.
all right, just so, we have 5 youth who are going to be recognized on the field before the game on Friday, May 26th. Thank you to everyone who helped spread out the word about the award to all the youth in the district. And primary elections are happening on June 27th. Early voting is from June 17th to the 25th. And the deadline to send in an absentee ballot is on June 12th. Bronx Community Board 7 will be hiring 2 community coordinators. The positions will be posted on www.nyc.gov/forwardjobs as early as tomorrow. So I've been told. The Kingsbridge, there will be a Kingsbridge Armory input meeting for residents on Wednesday, May 24th from 5 to 7 p.m. at the Walton High School campus gym at 780 Reservoir Avenue. And all New Yorkers 11 years and older can vote on community projects that will best address the needs of the community from May 10th to June 25th. You can find more information on the website on that nyc.gov/forward-pb. And then lastly, but not least, Bronx Week Parade is taking place on Sunday, May 21st at 10 a.m. The parade this time around is taking place on the Grand Concourse at 170th Street. I hope to see as many of you there so you can join our parade. And with that, that's it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, caller. I apologize for confusing you and your position.
That's okay.
New district manager. Thank you for the report, and we'll move on to the chair of Community Board 7, Yahira. Go ahead.
I'm sorry, can I have a question?
Oh,
Before,
sorry, I see your hands up. Okay, we'll start with Betty. Go ahead.
For the parade on Sunday, are we meeting, we're all meeting, is there an area? Because I'm assuming it's all starting at 170th, right?
Yeah, Carla and I are gonna designate a location and we'll email everyone or text everyone where that location is going to be. So that we all meet up at the same place.
Good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, and we'll get there earlier and then you can get there a little later. So
Okay.
we'll be there at 9 a.m. and you can get there a little, maybe by 11.
Okay, good. Thank you. Andrew, is that your hand up?
Yes. I think I heard that 2 positions would be posted, and both positions are community coordinators. We had 1 community coordinator before and 1 community associate. And there's a difference in salary that goes with those union titles. So I just want to confirm that I heard it correctly.
Yes, Andrew. So there will be 2 community coordinators, based on my experience working as a community coordinator in the community board and having a colleague who was in the community associate title. I just thought it would be fair to have 2 community coordinators instead, making the same salary as opposed to them making 2 different salaries and working almost as equal, having an equal amount of tasks. And so there will be 2 community coordinator titles making the same salary.
Just to follow up, so there are implications for our internal board budget, and people need to be aware that if we are hiring 2 community coordinators, a bigger chunk of our budget will go towards salaries. And I just want to make sure that people are aware of that.
Yes, thank you, Andrew. So we're the way it looks right now, we're not going to be spending any more than what's currently allocated for salaries.
Is there a big difference between the 2? The community coordinator and the associate?
Yeah, so I was making 68,000 and the community associate was making 45,000. So it was a big difference, and the amount of work, because we're a very small staff. It was basically splitting the task half and half, and each person coordinating and managing different aspects of the day-to-day operations.
All right. Any other questions for Carla? All right, we'll move on to our chairperson's report. Go ahead, Yahira.
Hi, everybody. So my report is going to be very short. Piggybacking a little bit of what Carla said, we were at the Victory Memorial. We had the Victory Memorial flagging event last week. It was great. Thank you for all of those that came out. It was something that we're proud to do every year, and we're going to continue to do so. The second thing, the New York City Mural Arts Project, Carla and I attended. It was really great. I recommend everyone to go to one if they come up around the neighborhood or in the Bronx. It was a fun afternoon. It was really, really great to do. And eventually on June 9th, they're gonna be the unveiling the mural. So you get to see everybody's little artwork put up there. Okay, next, members should have received emails in reference to the Civic Commission trainings. They're gonna be ongoing, so we recommend that you do attend at least one or two. It's great, it's informative, and it helps everyone out to understand the process of the board. Secondly, I'm going to be making a motion to amend this agenda to include the motion of the bylaws, and we'll get that to in the next one. There was also one change to the agenda. There was incorrectly put the list, the ad hoc DM screening committee that was changed to the nomination committee, and the chair of that committee was voted on, and that is Ms. Helene Red. And that is all for me.
All right, according to our agenda, we do have a motion. Yahira, do you want to do an amendment now, or how are we going to work on that?
Yes, I would like to present an amendment to tonight's agenda to include the motion referring to Bronx Community Board 7's bylaws. And with that, I'll transfer it over to the chair of bylaws, Myrna Calderon.
Okay.
Hi, it's Myrna Calderon. We are finally ready to present these bylaws to executive committee and to the full board. Can we have the motion pulled up?
Okay.
Yes, hold on. I have it open.
Okay. If not, I can pull it up from here.
Okay, we ready? You got it? The motion reads as follows. Bronx Community Board 7, motion summary, date May 17, 2023. Action motion title, amendments to Bronx CB7 bylaws, committee ad hoc bylaws committee. Who should action mention? Okay, Bronx Community Board 7 board members. Recommended action, the ad hoc bylaws committee recommends the adoption of CB7 proposed 2023 amended bylaws. Background, Community Board 7's bylaws needed to be revised to comply with the city charter to remove redundancies and address needed clarifications. You will see the link to the bylaws, CB7 bylaws, revision 2019 PDF, New York, NYC.gov. Proposed bylaws are also, the link is listed. Rationale for recommendation, CB7 bylaws were full of redundancies and confusing language, or action bylaws, is that correct? Action bylaws were updated by a prior committee in 2021, everybody remembers that. However, no vote was taken. Timing prior action, the bylaws were updated by a prior committee in 2021. No vote was taken. Future action to present revisions to the bylaws of Bronx Community Board 7 for approval of the Executive Committee of Community Board 7 and for a full vote of Bronx Community Board 7. The committee vote was unanimously approved. And we will add the Executive Committee vote. Okay. Any questions on the motion, or does anybody want to accept the motion?
All right. I move we accept the motion.
I second.
Okay, any discussion? All right.
All right. And any discussion on the new bylaws? Everybody, I believe, received a copy with a few updates that came out the last couple of days. All right, If not, we'll take a vote.
Okay.
Okay, all right. The motion is to accept the bylaws as presented by the ad hoc committee, the new bylaws for Community Board 7. All right, Barbara Stronza votes yes on the motion. Eric Asensio,
Eric Asensio votes yes.
thank you. Betty Arce,
Betty Arce approves the motion.
thank you. Yahaira Arias,
Yahaira Arias votes yes to the motion.
thank you. Michelle Avila,
Michelle Avila votes yes to the motion.
thank you. Andrew Leosa,
Andrew Leo, what's the motion?
thank you. Loris Acosta,
Lourdes Acosta approves.
thank you. Edgar Ramos, Edgar. Chad Royer,
I'm sorry, Edgar Ramos supports the motion.
thank you. Chad Royer,
Barbara, sorry. I'm voting no on this one.
is that Chad? Okay, no.
Yes, it's Chad. I'm voting no.
Okay. Victor Saldana? Victor? No. And Ruth Caraballo?
Votes yes.
Okay, thank you. The motion carries.
I would like to thank the executive committee. This was a long, arduous task, and I'm glad to get your approval. Thank you very much.
Okay, and I understand the bylaws will be going to the full board next Tuesday night, correct, Myrna?
Yes, they will be.
Okay, good, thank you. All right, we'll move the agenda. We have a presentation tonight on Fordham Landing South Development by Dynamic Star, and I understand that tonight the two areas that will be presented are, one, a traffic update, and two, the landscaping update. All right, I believe you're on. Who will be giving us the presentation from Dynamic?
Good evening, Chairwoman Barbara.
Yes,
Good evening to Chairwoman Yahaira Arias, District Manager Carla Carrera, and to all the executive committee members and board members. Thank you for inviting us this evening to present. My name is Francisco Diaz, Director of Strategic and Community Affairs for Dynamic Star. Joining us this evening is Brad Jackson, partner, owner, and developer at Fordham Landing South. Our consultants, Rick Parisi, managing principal at MPFP Landscape Architects, also joined by Rob Osterloff, his colleague, and Gregory Del Rio, Chief Traffic Engineer for Hardesty, Hanover. We will focus our presentation this evening on our traffic update, circulation, and landscape update, followed by a brief presentation by Brad Jackson, our owner and developer at the site. We will be returning in June to present to the Housing and Land Use Committee, at which time our Director of Planning, Penny Lee, will join us. I believe if we have access, we have sent Carla our presentation, and we will lead off with Gregory, our Chief Traffic Engineer. I think, Gregory, do you have access to?
I should run it.
You start?
Yeah.
My
Yeah.
apologies.
If you could give me access to share, that'd be great. I'm good.
My apology, Rick.
No problem. Just because I have most of the slides. So it'd be
Okay.
a lot easier if I'm moving them around. One thing, I will talk very briefly about this and then hand it over to Greg. I think I'm Rick Parisi, Managing Principal, MPFP, Landscape Architects. And we do a lot of these short public walkways. We just completed the Bankside one for, on the other side of the bridge there. And, as you guys know, the shore public walkways are somewhat restrictive, but they do offer some interesting opportunities. And in this particular one, we have more opportunities, I think, than most. And, you know, because they are 40 feet wide and they have all the city planning requirements. You will see in this presentation tonight that we've worked, you know, pretty closely with city planning to really stretch it out and create, you know, a number of open spaces aside from the shore public walkway on multiple levels. This is a 2-level project, and it's complicated, and Greg's going to walk through that part of it. But where we started was thinking about the larger part of connectivity as a pedestrian, a biker, and how you get to this open space. And you know that we also will be doing Fordham North, which is here. Fordham South is here, right here. And there's Roberto Clemente Park. And we're going to show you Fordham South, the connectivity over the bridge on the multi-level connectivity, 33, elevation 13. We're going to show you a concept to connect to Roberto Clemente State Park. And I think the important thing about this is, and you guys will know because you've seen a lot of the other shore public walkways.
Excuse me, I'm sorry, Rick, would you mind expanding it a little bit bigger so that we can?
Yeah. I'll go closer.
Thank you. Yeah, that's a
that's
lot better.
perfect.
Thank you.
Yeah. Interrupt me at any moment because I can move it around.
Thank you. I can see.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So I think what you guys will recognize is, like at Bankside, you know, we did Bankside, but it's a dead end right now, right? You know, it's like we do this wonderful shore public walkway and there's these upland connections, but it ends, right? Because there's always another lot that isn't developed adjacent to you. I think the amazing thing about Dynamic Star's position here is we are talking about, you know, a very, very significant, you know, shoreline that will be activated for public use. You know, our site alone here is 750 feet long, right? So it's over 30,000 square feet, but almost 35 to 40,000 square feet of open space just on the shore public walkway. So it's significant, and it's important because we can actually connect that, which was Brad's dream, I think, to connect that to Roberto Clemente Park. And then it really becomes an amazing open space that connects inland on the city grid and along the shore. So with that, I'm just going to turn it over to Greg. This was the overall reaching concept of connectivity for us. And this is where we started. And then I'll bring it to Greg.
I think if you stay there for a second, Rick,
Yeah.
just to finish, the potential future connection to 225th Street and Van Cortlandt Park is that light blue line that goes up to the north and
Right
off
here.
the page. Eventually, so there'll be, you know, complete connectivity all the way from the Harlem River waterfront all the way up to Van Cortlandt Park via these trail connections. So that's bike and ped.
And you could get to the North County Trail. You could get, I mean, you could really, this can go, you know, really far.
Yeah, and just, it's also important that we connect to Marble Hill without having to go back out onto the city streets. And we have a direct connection, not only to Marble Hill, but also to the transit stations and other bus transit as well. So, you know, really giving a lot of choices to get to and from the site and the waterfront. So I just wanted to fill that in. All right, you can go to the hard stuff now.
Go to the hard, difficult stuff to explain.
Yeah, this is, and I say that because we're, as Rick mentioned, we're on 2 levels, meaning we have the upper level. If you look to the right, we call it elevation 33, which is basically the elevation of Fordham Road. And then we have the lower level, which is really the at grade level, elevation 13. And if you're familiar with the site, that's where the helix ramp ends down at the bottom, and you have, you know, the dairy terminal on our site to the south, and today you have the DOT yard, and you have some self-storage to the left of this drawing. Just to orient you again, this is rotated, you know, 90 degrees, so north is to the left, the Bronx is to the top of the page, and Inwood and Manhattan is to the bottom of the page, and the river is running left to right along the page. So if you take a look at that picture to the top left, just pull it down just a little bit, Rick, thank you. That is showing what a view, if you were standing in the middle of the roadway, the new roadway of the upper level, which doesn't exist today, looking out towards Fordham Road. So that shows you the new roadways, it shows you the new buildings and sidewalks on both sides to provide all the connections, and there's a mid-block sort of crossing to get you from the buildings to the Metro North side. It's important to note that all vehicle access, drop-off, pickups, access to parking will be happening on site, and there will be no more drop-offs and pickups along Fordham Road, because you don't need to. You can pull in, you can drop off at Metro North, pull over along that. If you see that yellow zone, that's the drop-off pickup for Metro North, as well as, service for the buildings too, if you're dropping off people or waiting. The Metro North station will be enhanced, the one that's the existing right against Fordham Road, but then the one to the right is a new station interior to the building that will have interior connections and a new pedestrian bridge connecting to a lengthened platform for Metro North. And that will allow more trains to platform and handle a larger capacity, and also give more choice, so you don't have to worry about what car you're sitting in when you get in and out of University Heights Station. So that's kind of the upper level. What I'll walk you through, though, before we go down below, just stay there, maybe zoom out a little bit so I can show the relationship between upper and lower, Rick. Yep.
How about that?
One more. There you go. Perfect. So this is why I was saying it's a difficult slide, because without a 3D, it's kind of hard to, but I'll try and walk you through it. So if you're coming from the Bronx, on the top where it says from Bronx, this is what you're used to seeing at the site today. We call this the exterior street helix ramp, where you come down. I don't know if you can trace that, Rick.
You want me to trace it on the top or the bottom?
From the top one, so where it says from Bronx, coming into the site, and that's a smooth move. Yeah, that move right there where you're coming in. Then you'd be at the lower level, and then you kind of go to the other drawing down below, and then you'd make your right turn into the site. You go underneath Fordham Road, and then you're at the at-grade level. So then you can see what the at-grade level looks down below on the left-hand corner rendering. You're standing at basically you just would be coming out of the train station at the lower level, and you're looking back out towards the water. That's what that view down below is, where you see that gray car dropping off or picking somebody up. So that gives you a sense of how the two levels operate. There's parking and curbside parking, short term, not long term, kind of like you see on any city street for drop off pickups, and there'll also be appropriate signage that for commercial deliveries and their operations as well. In addition, each building has its truck docks, so the box trucks and waste and those types of operations will be pulling into and off of these streets and into the buildings themselves, so they're not hindering traffic flow. All these streets are also accessible by pedestrians and bicyclists. So bicycles and pedestrians can use all of these connections that you see going at both levels. And then the last thing before we go to the next slide, so you're all familiar with the existing helix ramp. If you look right in the middle, there's some dashed lines that go down. That's a new ramp that'll connect. Can you see that there? No, to the right. Keep going to the right, where we're connecting through the building, Rick.
Yeah, in here.
No, further to the right, where you are is that's Fordham Road. That's the university. Yeah, there you go.
Oh yeah. What I traced before.
I just want to give everybody a sense that there's two ramps now, the existing helix ramp, and now on the south side, right, there's a connection taking you from upper level to lower level. And that's a really important connection, as you'll see in a minute, because basically there will be, we're not proposing any left turns in and out of the site. And so the site access functions without a signal, and minimizes interruptions to traffic flow, because you're just basically pulling off into the site and you're pulling out of the site, you're just making a right. What you do is you choose internally where you want to get to, and I'll show you that in the next slide. But let me see if there's any other points I want to make on this slide. I think that kind of covers it. Yeah, okay, sounds good. We can move on to the next one. Okay, so now the wayfinding signage kind of helps a little bit to maneuver through the site. So again, if starting from the top left, if you're coming from the Bronx, you enter the site, you come down the ramp. When you get to the bottom of the ramp, now you're going to look at the lower right-hand diagram. And if you go to that same corner, Rick, yep, right there, you'll see that first sign that's in the lower left of the diagram. So if you're going to the existing storage or the DOT yard, you'll see the signage directs you to the left. If you're going to park, if you're going to the Metro North Railroad Station, if you're going to Fordham South Development, or if you want to return back to the Bronx, you would make a right. And now you'd be coming underneath Fordham Road. You get to this next intersection, which is at the bottom of this new ramp. And again, another sign there will tell you, all right, if you're going back to the Bronx or Major Deegan, you're going to make a right and go back up the ramp. Or if you're going to Metro North or parking, you continue straight towards the end where you have the U-turn and the heel, the plaza all the way to the right. Rick, all the way to the right. Yeah, there you go, exactly. All right, and then you can drop off. After you drop off, you can come back up. And if you're going to Manhattan, you would go straight and then go back up the ramp. And yep, exactly, you got it. And then make the hairpin turn and go towards Manhattan. If after you do your drop off or you're coming out of parking, you want to go back to Manhattan, you'd go up the new ramp. Nope, come back. There you go. Now go down and go up that ramp, right?
Yeah.
Yep. And now you'd be going up. Now you go to the other diagram up to the left.
And you come out here.
Yeah, and you come out to the street and you make your right and you go back to the Bronx. You got it.
I thought you said Manhattan, so I was going the other way.
Yeah. And again, the pedestrians and the bicyclists can use all of these roadways. And you can see again highlighted on both levels, plenty of room to do your drop off and pick up activity. I think I'll go one or two more slides, or
I think that was it.
Okay, then you can talk about how the site starts to develop.
Yeah.
And I can take any questions now, or we can.
Do you guys want to ask any questions about this access?
Yes, we have one hand raised. Chad, if it relates to what we've just seen, go ahead.
Yes, good evening. Thank you for showing this presentation. So I have two short questions. Well, number one, that area where the helix loop that makes that big turn as it's going to the storage, but then you make the right instead.
Yep.
Happens to be a area that catches a lot of dust and dirt in the way of walking and driving. I'm wondering, is there a plan to mitigate the excess dust, like perhaps creating sidewalk or creating a way to block the dirt from spreading from the wind?
Right. Yeah, I think the majority, some of it is probably coming from the DOT lot, which will be upgraded. But a lot of it is probably also coming from the dairy trucks that are going in and out of the existing terminal. So that I think will mitigate a lot of the dust that you're getting down there today, because that's an unfinished. If you've ever been down there, it's not a paved lot. It's sort of an unfinished lot that they use down there. So that's probably what's creating a lot of that dust. We're anticipating that the pedestrians and bicyclists will, not be using the existing helix ramp for the majority of trips. Most trips will find themselves to the south side, through the existing street network. And just like they do to cross the bridge today, they all find themselves to the south side, and then because there's only a sidewalk on the south side. So I think most of the pedestrian and bicyclists will be coming in to the right where the Metro North Railroad Station is, and now that we have new connections, and Rick will go over them in a few minutes, but besides using the streets, we have two other ways to get down for pedestrians and cyclists. There's a circular stairway and elevator right where he's waving his hand down there, and you'll see more
I
detail
see. Okay.
in the following slides.
Yeah, there's a lot more to show you.
Yeah, and there's a switchback ramp to the left over here, which he'll, yeah, right there, which he'll also show you in more detail, which provides access for bicycles and pedestrians. So yeah,
Okay.
we're providing a lot of choices for the non-motorized users, and yeah, but no, that's a good point, and you know, we'll look and see if there's even, you know, more mitigation that we can provide.
Right.
But we are improving the helix as well, so that'll help as well.
Thank you for that. One other question. Is anything about the traffic light pattern part of your presentation?
So it's not part of this presentation. We're working with City DOT right now, and we've been working with them for a while. They have a draft traffic study that we provided for them. And we're coordinating with them on not only access to this site, but they're also investigating, as you guys probably know, extending the SBS, the bus lane, all the way down to the University Heights Bridge. So yeah, we are looking at, you know, how to improve signals. We're also looking at how to improve those the pedestrian crossings at those sort of large intersections at the major Deegan ramps. We're working not only with City DOT, but State DOT on that to, you know, maybe hopefully tighten up those the radius and make those pedestrian crossings a little shorter, a little bit friendlier.
Okay, thank you.
You got it.
Okay, we have a few other hands up. Whoever has the phone number ending in 4674, could you please identify yourself?
That's Andrew Leosa.
Go ahead, Andrew, you're on next.
Okay. I'm sorry, I couldn't, my screen is kind of small, so I really can't see the image that well. But I did hear you say that the two entrances would not have a traffic signal to enhance traffic flow. How are pedestrians and cyclists supposed to cross an intersection safely if there is no traffic signal? That's
Right.
my question.
Right. So let me clarify. The site can work without a signal is maybe the better way of saying it. We actually are working with City DOT to provide basically what you just said, a pedestrian only crossing, but and very limited left turns. Like large trucks would continue to use the helix, but everybody else would be restricted from making left turns. But we are investigating putting a signal in there for just the pedestrians, so that if they haven't crossed to the right side of the road by the time they got to our site, they can make that crossing safely. And it also provides a little bit of an opportunity for some of the cars to get out and make those right turns, particularly on the exits. So yeah, thank you for bringing that up. I didn't really clarify that before.
I see another hand, Hugo.
Hi, will the upper and lower levels be able to accommodate full-size yellow school buses or Greyhound type buses? I'm just not sure what size vehicles will be the maximum size that could go through.
Yes, buses, fire trucks, and 30-foot single unit white, typical box trucks and moving vans. Those are the ones that will be able to use the Fordham South site. Large tractor trailers are not envisioned and will be restricted. They will use the helix ramp, and they should only be going to and from the DOT yard and the other uses that exist to the north.
All right.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you. Do we have any other questions before we move on with the presentation? Okay, we're ready to move on.
Okay, great. So we're going to go backwards a little bit to the existing site, which you guys are all familiar with. Right? It's about 3.8 acres. And as I mentioned, this dimension here along the shore is about 750 feet. Right? So it's pretty significant. You can see the bridge here and start to see the helix here, and you can see exterior street comes in down here. And what you will see is that what Greg started to mention is that we're making these connections, pedestrian connections, on both levels to the shore public walkway. And then there's within that sidewalk system, which you'll see right here. So right now you're looking at the elevation 13. So at exterior street, right? This is underneath, right? This is exterior street. There are pedestrian pathways that come to the shore public walkway here. There's another one that comes to the shore public walkway here. This is that elevator and stair that brings you up to elevation 33. And then right over here, you start to see the ramp, which we call the sunset ramp, which will step up and bring you up to elevation 33 in that location. So there's a lot of connectivity on multiple levels for bikes and pedestrians. In addition to that, there's a connection right here on exterior street at elevation 13. So you can walk down underneath the bridge at exterior street at elevation 13 and come right onto the shore public walkway. The shore public walkway is roughly elevation 13 throughout all this, and the upper level is elevation 33. So there's a lot going on in this plan, but as you know, shore public walkways are required to be 40 feet wide. This is 40 feet wide and has a number of additional open spaces adjacent to it, so it's in excess of that. And that's why at 750 feet and 40 feet wide, you know, it would be basically 30,000 square feet, but it's more closer to 40,000 square feet because it undulates and it moves around a lot. And there's some overlooks and other pieces in here. And that does not include the ramp areas that go up and all the sidewalks inboard, which are part of our approvals and will always be open to the public on both levels. So we'll walk through some of the amenities here. There's a diagram that shows all the amenities within the open space, and there's an upper level and a lower level. And I think I'll take you to the next plan so you'll maybe understand it a little better. So this brings you up to elevation 33, and you see the step ramp that's starting to come down here, steps down and comes down. It's an ADA access. There's also kind of a grand stair right here that comes out and wraps around. This is the shore public walkway proper. One thing that Greg did mention is that fire trucks come in here, and fire trucks actually have to be able to come in here and come out on this portion here over to here and then turn around and go back. So this is you know, pretty grand. It's 20 feet wide for a good section of this portion of the shore public walkway. So we have a lot of 3D views, but we're going to go through, you know, diagrammatically what we're providing in terms of amenities. And I think you guys understand what most shore public walkways have. They have a lot of passive areas and a lot of congregating areas. When in working with city planning, you know, going a couple of rounds with them, they feel that it'd be nice to add a little bit more active areas. So what we've done is we've tried to carve some spaces out for fitness equipment. There's some outdoor gym equipment here, right? There's a small little amphitheater space here, right, for congregating. These are trellis areas with movable tables and chairs. These are fixed benches here. These purple elements are bike racks. The turquoise color, those are lights, so it's always well lit. There's signage throughout, open space, you know, open to the public signage throughout this. These are trellises, you know, little shade structures here. And then these are some more fun, you know, seating elements within. And you'll see in the next plan, which is a diagram of all this, just how we diagram it. And what Greg mentioned here is this is a future MTA station expansion here. This is the one that will be built with our project. And it's inside, so you enter as a pedestrian, you enter here, it goes, and there's an extended platform, and then the stairs down. So this was part of the project, and this is a future expansion. A pedestrian can come in at this level, go into the MTA and could come out, and a pedestrian could come at elevation 33, come down the step Sunset ramp, down here, get to elevation 13. Purple is the shore public walkway, which signifies elevation 13. This is a small amphitheater, stepped amphitheater seating area. Small performances could happen there. There's a stepping stone garden here with a view. This is an overlook with a trellis, another overlook with a trellis, and this is the fitness area here. Everything else is basically planting. And as you saw in some of those views that Greg had, there was a view from in here. You saw the planting here, right? That comes through the top, right? So these planting areas are multi-level, right? There's planting on the upper level, there's planting on the lower level that comes up through an opening to the elevation 33. And you'll see a lot more renderings in the package here. So just to get a sense of how that works, this is that planting I just spoke about on the elevation 13. It comes up through the opening at elevation 33. There's a pedestrian sidewalk up here that connects to this stair that's right here, an elevator that brings you down the shore public walkway. So if you enter at 33 along here, you can come right to this portion here. You can come down the elevator or down the stair and be at elevation 13. And this is that overlook. Another section further down. And you can see that we are at elevation 13, you know, at the FEMA elevation, required FEMA elevation for their finished floors. And mean high water is at elevation 2. So these are some of the renderings. You're looking back towards Manhattan here, and this is the sunset ramp walk that takes you down. It's ADA accessible. What you see down here is the connection on Exterior Street below at elevation 13. So we're at elevation 33 right now. And this is the sidewalk that would take you through the upper level of the development into the spiral stair and the elevator. This is a view partially on the partially down the sunset ramp, and you start to see you're going below the bridge at this point. And this is a view when you're popping out on the other end. There's a small overlook here, and you're coming out under the bridge here, and that's looking down to the south at Manhattan. So this is an aerial. This is what you would see from the bridge if you were crossing over. As Greg said, you could cross over on the sidewalk on the right side, the south side of the bridge. This is the view you'd have, and you can see here, this is a connection to Exterior Street. This is the sunset ramp that comes down. There's a grand stair here. This is one of those overlooks right there. And the gym area and exercise equipment is there. And this is a view looking back up. Again, this is the Exterior Street connection here. This is the 33 connection. And you're looking south on the shore public walkway. There's a view again, just looking now, we're looking north. Right, you start to see some of our built-in benches with backs, movable tables and chairs, you know, a nice wide open railing at this section, and then you see the grand stair going up and the ramp going up that way. And now we're walking, basically walking south, and this is the exterior exercise equipment in this little small alcove here. This is one of the overlooks with a shade structure, movable furniture here. There's also some built-in benches. Again, this is never less than 12 feet wide. Most often it's 15 to 18. And on the southern portion, it's 20 feet wide, the walkway. And these are all native plantings, native shoreline plantings. As you get closer to where the elevator is in this column here, and the spiral stair takes you down from 33 to 13. And this is the 13 elevation connection here on the sidewalk below. And you can start to see the other gardens in there. And this is when you're up on the upper level, looking over the top. This is this kind of fun, wood bench system that we did here. And then there's a lot of movable furniture here. These spaces are pretty versatile for activities and programming. They're big enough to program small events in, as you can see. Here is the spiral stair down. Elevation 33. You start to see the vegetation coming through here. And then this overlook here. The gym equipment is over here. And this is going south with the connection to Roberto Clemente. And this is the stepped amphitheater section. This section here is over 35 feet wide. So this is where you could program small events. And just an aerial of the whole thing. From the bridge to the south at Roberto Clemente. And then just a quick overview of how we think we will connect to Roberto Clemente. Again, this is our site here. This is the MTA land in the water here. This is Con Ed. This is Roberto Clemente, and we've basically negotiated some rights to have connectivity through here on land and connect here. And so we will be, as part of this project, as a second phase, we will be developing this further to have an upland connection from our project, which ends here, to Roberto Clemente. And that's it. That's what we got. I think I'll turn it over to Brad. But if you have any questions, I can come back to the drawings and before Brad speaks, or we can take all the questions after.
Okay,
Well,
all right, we'll move on to Brad. Go ahead, Brad.
well, I would say that I would like to hear questions first from
Okay.
anyone that went through it, and then I could answer, and then we can go on. I think it's a long, you know what I'm saying?
I think we took our 20 minutes.
Yeah.
I have a question concerning the public use of that water area off the water. Will there be any parking any place for the public if they want to come down to the site and they don't live in the buildings?
There'll be excess parking that we will be able to provide to anyone that comes. There's about maybe 100 spots more than is needed for the residential and the buildings. So we'll be providing some parking.
Some parking.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. I have a few hands here. We'll start with Victor. Go ahead, Victor.
Hi, good evening. I'm sorry I might have missed the earlier part of the portion of the presentation. What will traffic look like, especially connecting to the highway? Would that exit be closed or it's going to be diverted somewhere else? The one connected to the Major Deegan, is thinking about the traffic and the bus. And I apologize if I missed this earlier.
There was a long time. Oh, we spent a long time on this, but Greg can pick it up.
Yep, sure. The short answer is yeah, no, it won't be blocked. That the existing connections and ramps will be maintained. And we're currently looking to see if we can actually enhance them a bit, both from a traffic flow and a pedestrian flow point of view. But all the connections will be maintained.
All right, thank you. Myrna, I see your hand. Myrna?
Yeah, hi. I'm just trying to get unmuted.
Okay.
Yeah, so a couple of things. I've had opportunity to have some discussions, but one big thing is again, I'm also concerned about the traffic, and everybody knows that because I live at Fordham Hill and we're right there at Fordham Road where this stuff is going to take place. But the thing is, one of the considerations I hope that you took into account was that this is a flood zone. And I remember during Hurricane Sandy taking a walk but we didn't get the full impact that we should have, that we thought we were going to get. And I took a walk because everything was shut down that Sunday, and I walked along the tracks, the railroad tracks, and you could see that the water level came up just short of flooding the Metro North railroad tracks. So we also know what happened to Roberto Clemente State Park in Hurricane Sandy, which just recently got repaired and reopened. So my question is, has that been taken into account when you are building on this flood zone? And then there's a second question after that, which I'm sure is going to be addressed in the future. We have had a really, and Victor Saldana, who also, we both suffer the same pain. In the summer, the noise level of music coming across the water has always been an issue. For some reason, the way the topography is there, it's somehow the water makes the sound louder as it comes up the hill. So those things need to be taken into account. You're going to put these looks like two giant towers with all this wonderful stuff that I'm not against. It sounds wonderful, but I'm also very concerned about the existing neighborhoods that already exist on the Bronx side, which would be heavily impacted with the extra traffic, the noise level. And again, I just want to know if the fact that this is a flood zone has been taken into account. How is that going to impact all of this wonderful, design? So
Yeah, I can answer the flood zone thing first, if you like.
yes.
What I have on this elevation, right, is this is mean high water on here, elevation 2, right? The
Which is
existing
where,
riprap-
can you point that out, please?
yeah, right here.
Because I don't see what you're talking about.
Little
This right
smaller.
here?
Yeah.
What, I see two blue lines. What are we talking
Yeah,
about
yeah.
here?
So see that blue line, this one right here, and this is
But
the
I don't
water.
see anybody pointing. So, oh, here, I see it now. Okay.
This is mean high water, elevation 2, right? So during this is the top of the riprap, and I believe that during Sandy, portion of the site was wet, right? The railroad is a little above this 9 elevation. We're coming up to elevation 13, which is the FEMA elevation that we have to come up to for a finished floor, right? So we are taking it into account with the current FEMA regulations. We're several feet above. That's why when this person's standing here, right, they're 11 feet above the mean high water at high tide, right? So even when that water floods another 7 feet, we're still above that, which is the FEMA guideline.
Yeah, well, FEMA gets it wrong a lot of times, as we know. So we can't just, I'm telling you from personal experience, and when I walked right after Hurricane Sandy and I saw that water come almost up to the train, it literally needed one more inch and the tracks probably would have been completely flooded. So I'm just.
We're 4 feet above that.
Okay, all right.
So that's my point. We are 4 feet above that. And this is all being filled in order to be above the FEMA line to block the water, right?
Okay.
So we're in a good position.
We're actually going to be 4 inches above. We're going to 13.4 to be a little extra. So we are taking it in consideration. We plan on being here for a very long time, and we don't want the same things you do. But we have studied it, and we're doing more than the FEMA.
All right, we'll move on with the questions. Chad, go ahead.
Yes, hi. So one of my concerns is the fact that we get a lot of trash and debris that gets littered on the streets. And I'm just wondering how the sanitation would look like in that area as far as being able to discard trash. Because one of the things that I don't want to see people doing is tossing stuff in the water. Since it's very close to the water, I'm just wondering, has that been taken into consideration? And what kind of plans do they have for the ease of trash removal so that people are not tempted to toss garbage in the water.
You're referring to the people that are on the shore public walkway, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Or
So-
even the drivers.
Yeah. I mean, the drivers can't get within 50 feet of the water, but that said, this is a pretty expansive shore public walkway, and there'll be trash receptacles, every 50 feet, right? And we are, if you understand how shore public walkways work, right? They're actually, on private land, but they can be maintained by the Parks Department if you deed them to the Parks Department. But we are going to maintain our own shore public walkway, and it'll be, very highly maintained and clean, clean all the time, and there'll be, adequate trash removal. So it won't be, won't be neglected by any means. It'll be a higher level of maintenance.
Okay.
So who
Yeah.
did you say was going to be doing the oversight of the maintenance?
We will. Dynamic Star will be maintaining the site.
We will be, yes. And we're also in the connection to Clemente Park. We'll be maintaining the connection and paying for it also. So we've been talking to them about it, and we plan on having a great maintenance program and keeping things, clean. And we don't want anyone throwing anything in the water. We've been working with the waterfront people and the Greenway that have been doing this, I guess, 20 years. So we're trying to work with them and make a beautiful Harlem River. So we're behind that. Maybe we'll sponsor Harlem River cleanup parties for the water.
Right, we'll move on. Andrew,
Thank you.
your hand up.
Yeah, I kind of have the opposite view. I'm a kayaker, and there's a growing active kayaking community in New York. There are boathouses along the Brooklyn waterfront, the Queens waterfront, the Manhattan waterfront, Staten Island, and I'd like to know if there are any plans for people in the Bronx to have access to the water. It seems like we're being walled off from this wonderful asset, and it's almost like going to the zoo and seeing animals behind. We should be able to walk down to the water, experience it, smell it, touch it, see the sea creatures that live there. There are ways to do it safely. It's done in other areas in New York City. There's a Peter Sharp boathouse on the Harlem River that's on the Manhattan side. Columbia University uses the Harlem River for its crew team. So I feel like we're kind of being walled off from this dangerous, horrible Harlem River, and nothing could be further from the truth.
We totally agree with you, and we plan on expanding the waterfront as much as possible. We have plans for the whole waterfront. We've been working with the Waterfront Alliance, and there'll be opportunities to the not only in the south, but we're thinking in the north. There'll be boat opportunities to go into the water. We're going to make this a waterfront community is our desire, and we're working very hard at that, and we'll take any suggestions. But I promise you, we are going to activate the water.
Thank you. Victor, is that your hand? Go ahead.
And again, I'm sorry it came off where I joined a bit late. Is there going to be access to commercial? We know that part of the Bronx is a food desert. Is there going to be a chance for a supermarket? Have there been any talks to bring in maybe, nationwide marketers like maybe a Trader Joe's or Whole Foods? Or is there plans to have like a farmer's market? As we know, that area of the Bronx really lacks good food, good supermarkets.
In the phase one of what we're talking with tonight, we have some limited retail that we have just got through the transit easement. But on our the other phases of our project, we are working with local restaurateurs, retailers, and to create a very active retail with farmers market, interesting food and entertainment along the waterfront. On the south, we're limited, but the space we have, we will create some kind of interesting grocery store for the neighborhood.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Are there any other questions from the committee? All right, I see your hand. AJ, go ahead.
Yes, hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, I had a question. I think this, as someone who spent plenty of days down at the Christopher Street piers and the Chelsea piers, I think this looks lovely. Great time to bring it up and connect us to the rest of them. But my main question was on November 24th, 2021, the Norwood News reported in an article called Fordham Landing Developer Discusses 2 billion Mega Development in University. It says that to quote the article, the group has held some initial discussions with Bronx Community Board 7 District Manager Aisha Bravo and officials from the Borough President Ruben Diaz Jr.'s office, as with the Borough President himself, as well as the Bronx Community Board 7 Chair Manuel Martinez, the latter on temporary gardening programs, which he said got sidelined due to the election, but which he plans to revisit. Is this that? And has there been any other meetings with the new chair and DM since they've all been replaced? Thank you.
Yes, we are. We were invited to this meeting by the chair. We had a visit at the site. And so we were invited today to present to the full board. So the current chairwoman, Carla, Yahaira, and Eric, just at the interest of the board came by, we invited them to see, and they said, well, you should come and present to our community board, and that's why we are here today.
Okay, I can add to that. Yes, we did have a meeting, and we know that this is a project that's been in the works for a very long time. And in the interest of the board knowing what is happening in our community, we did invite these gentlemen here, the developers, the owners, to come in and express to us and show us what these plans are and what the future looks like for this particular area, which has been a point of discussion for a very long time.
Yes, ma'am. But the temporary gardening programs, was that this part?
The gardening program, I haven't discussed it yet. I mean, these are plans that we can probably discuss with the developers. A lot of things are coming along. This meeting alone is just for the traffic and showing what the green space is going to be. This is going to be in more discussions and more meetings will happen. And Fernando, correct me if I'm wrong, you guys are going to continue to come to the board with updates just to let us know as to what's going on.
Francisco, it's okay.
Francisco, sorry.
I think the whole concept of right now, the site gets dumped on a lot. We've been doing a lot of cleaning. Outsiders come and they dump, they dirty. We have been providing our own resources, speaking to the local precinct commander and sanitation. And we've reached out in the past to the community board to clean or get the Department of Sanitation to go there. We always think about how nice it would be for the community to come in, and right now, because it's under the bridge, there may be some mural opportunities or some gardening as a way of just getting the community to come in and see the site. So I think to the extent that, we are the gatekeepers of the site right now. Brad, loves gardening. I love gardening, and we're always looking at how we could get the community to come in, as opposed to outsiders that are dumping on the site that are not from the community.
Okay.
And
We have one more question before we move on. Go ahead, Myrna. Myrna,
we can't.
I think we lost her.
It was going in and out.
Yes. What's the next step for your presentation?
So I think I just wanted to, say generally that we'll be back. Okay, I'm sorry.
Myrna, is that you?
Hello?
She's
Myrna,
back.
go ahead. She's back. Go ahead, Myrna. Myrna, can you hear me? I guess she's having some troubles. All right, go ahead.
So one is I want to introduce myself to everyone here. We've been in the community working with others, that local restaurant owners, and meeting different people and understanding, but we are anxious to work with you guys and to create something really special here. Our planner, Penny Lee, she's not here. She'll be here on the next meeting. She'll be explaining the whole project and more, and we'll have a more detail about the buildings and what we'll be providing and all that. And we just want you to know, we will be meeting with you regularly. We are here to listen, and we're open. And we definitely, as Frank said, myself, Frank, and others, we have a eye for gardening, not to mention Rick is one of the greatest gardeners in our city we have on our team. But I happen to have a passion for vegetables and gardening, and we've tried to start up a couple of things, but the city took some space that we were going to use. They rented it out in that helix there. But we're open to try to work with you guys, and we'd like to get something going, and anything we could do with the community, we're open. And I just want you to say we're part of the community. We plan on being part of the community with you. And we really want to activate this. The new train station, I think, is going to be spectacular. That train doesn't get very much use because of the way it is. And I think we'll be connecting to the neighborhoods and bringing economic development to the neighborhood that hasn't been there, with new tenants, new affordable housing, apartment opportunities, and we look forward to doing something special here.
And Brad, if I may just add that we are also talking to the Councilwoman Perina Sanchez. And so she is obviously someone that we are working with very closely, and we'll consult with her office as well as the community board and with other stakeholders and other elected officials to engage their concerns and to work with them as well.
Okay. All right, on behalf of Community Board 7's Executive Committee, I'd like to thank you, Rick, Francesco, and Brad, for the presentation this evening. We all look forward to the next phase, which I understand you had said earlier, you will be coming to our Housing Committee meeting in June.
Yes.
Good. Keep in touch. I'm sure there will be many more questions for you. Thank you.
Yes, we're working very closely with your district manager and your chairwoman, have been very helpful, and Eric, and we look forward to cooperating as best we can to be a good corporate neighbor.
Great. Thank you again.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Barbara, this is Myrna Calderon. I'm sorry, I got knocked out.
Myrna
You're
got
back.
on, so
You're
you'll take
back.
one more question from Myrna. Yes, Myrna.
Yeah, I didn't get my question answered about the noise, but at the same time, I want to take the opportunity to thank Yahaira Arias, our board chair, because she got this group to come and speak to us at Fordham Hill, and we're able to have input, because it was very disturbing that all of this was going on and Fordham Hill had not been consulted at all, when we are going to be directly impacted as well as Victor Saldana's neighborhood.
Right.
So I'm really grateful for that. I'm grateful that we have, input now, and that we are able to know what's going on and have some input. But yeah, I do want the noise level thing to be addressed, because that is a big issue in our neighborhood.
Okay.
So if they
It's
could.
interesting. I recently was told about it in a meeting. I think it was Congressman Espinosa's assistant used to live there, and she was asking, and I did some investigation, and it's on the other side. It's not on our side. There used to be some issues down in the CSX site by there, but it's from the other side, and we will investigate to figure out how the sound is bouncing, because I recently, it's been brought to our attention.
Yeah, it's really bad when it happens. So my I just want you to take that into account. That should not make the noise level in our neighborhood any worse. So that's something that really has to be taken into account with the design. But
we plan on doing it. We plan on doing all the things to make this a secure, fun place for people to have a lot of fun. And that has been brought to our attention, and we will try to figure out what it is. I think you're right. It just bounces, and I'm not sure what we could do to counter it, but we'll figure it out and address it.
okay.
And thank you, Paula, for your support and for your guidance, and the chairwoman. We're greatly appreciative.
Okay, great.
Thank
you.
you. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
I'm
Thank
sure
you.
we'll
Providing
see you again
information.
soon. And thank you, Myrna and Victor, for your questions. I'm sure as neighbors, you are concerned. That's great.
Yes, we are.
Yeah, that's important, very important. All right, we will move the agenda. We're down to committee reports. We'll start with Andrew.
Bye, everyone.
Excuse me?
We're leaving. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Have
Good
a good
night.
evening.
All
Thank
right,
you.
good
Thank
night.
you for your
Thank you
time.
again.
Thank you.
Good night.
All right, okay, down to committee reports, budget personnel. Andrew, you first.
The committee last met on April 27th. We reviewed the internal board budget, and we are hopeful that we will spend down our budget to the end of the fiscal year, which is June 30th, and end of report.
Okay. All right, do we have much money left, Andrew? Can you share that with us?
I believe, I do not have that information. Either the district manager can blurt it out right now, which I don't think she's able to do. She has to check with the city to see what costs have been paid for and what remains left over. So,
So possibly in the near future, we can find out, correct? So that we can spend
correct,
it all by the end of the fiscal year.
correct.
Thank you. Education, youth and libraries, Lurie's.
Hello, hello. We met earlier in the month and selected the winners of the Yankee Scholarship. So I think I have the names here.
Oh, great.
1 second.
Good.
All right. So congratulations. Oh no, I do not have it here. I'm sorry. But either way, congratulations. Carla did a email blast, so I'll make sure I have it for the general board meeting. And we look forward to celebrating them at next week's game. That is all. We'll meet again in June.
All right, thank you. Environment and sanitation, Betty?
We didn't meet. We'll meet in June. And that's my report.
Okay. Health and Human Services, Michelle?
Good evening, Barbara. We also didn't meet. I had a last minute conflict, so we will be meeting the second Tuesday of June.
All right, thank you. Housing, Land Use and Economic Development, Eric?
We had a presentation from city planning about the amendments to the zoning resolution in regards to the City of Jazz initiative by Mayor Adams. And we'll be meeting in June 20th.
All right, thank you. Parks, Recreation and Cultural Affairs, we had a presentation on the daylighting of Tibbetts Brook. You can find the details in my minutes. A major concern we're having is staffing of the parks workers for the summer season. There have been cutbacks, and we invited the PEP squad to come to our next meeting in June to find out if there has been any increase in their numbers. And we're hoping that Parks will give us at least a final count of how many new people we will have for the summer. Public safety, quality of life, Victor?
Good evening, everyone. We had our meeting earlier this month. We had a report from NYPD. They are offering, Police Officer Costa is offering VIN sketching for converters to the public. So please reach out to NYPD 52nd Precinct, Officer Costa, if you like your VIN sketch on your converter. We also had a quick discussion about how we're planning for the summer. Most of the items will be on the minutes. There's no decisions. I mean, no no votes and decisions, and we're looking for our next meeting, the second Thursday of June. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Traffic and Transportation, Edgar? Is he still on? All right.
He said he was gonna drop off at some point.
Right, okay, so we'll move on. Veterans Affairs, Chad?
Hi, good evening, everyone. So we had a presentation on organ donation by Miss Ileana Almanzar from Live on New York, and we touched on some of the myths and the benefits of organ donations and how it can help our veteran community. We'll have some information in the minutes when I post them. We also went over a recent City Council committee meeting on Veterans Affairs that took place, where a lot of veteran constituencies wanted to have the opportunity to ask questions and provide input. Some folks were somewhat frustrated with the fact that they didn't get the information that they needed. And the committee sees this as an opportunity where we can make some recommendations to the city council on what are some of the needs where the city council can meet to help the veterans, the constituents, the vendors, the nonprofits, et cetera, et cetera. We also have 2 events coming up. The Woodlawn Cemetery flagging event, which will be on a Wednesday, May 24th. It'll start at 10. We're recommending that folks show up at 9:45. Open to the public, all are welcome. We will be flagging grave sites of veterans with the help of the folks who work at the cemetery. And we also have a Veterans Resource Fair on Saturday, June the 3rd. The time frame is going to be from 11:30 to 2 p.m. We are asking if anyone knows a veteran, a family member of a veteran, or is a veteran advocate. We will have some community partners who will be here to provide some much needed resources. Hopefully we can get veterans to walk out of the resource fair having accomplished something. And also we want to be able to connect others and help them with those areas that they have not been helped with. This concludes my report.
Okay, thank you, Chad. We had an addition to the agenda. Do we have anybody here from the nominating committee?
No, but I can say that the committee met. I was not a part of it, just to be clear. But I was informed that Herlene Red was chosen as the chair.
Okay, so we'll hear from her then next week, I assume. Okay.
And you had Myrna for the bylaws.
Yeah, and I was there for the nominating committee also, so.
Okay. All right, Myrna, your bylaws will be passed on, I guess, for a vote next Tuesday night.
Yes, we have the motion. The motion was just passed, so we will be voting on it Tuesday.
Okay. It
Board
would
meeting.
be helpful, maybe, Carla, you sent out an email reminding everybody to take a look at the changes before they come to the meeting Tuesday night. That might expedite things for us.
Yes, I'll resend it again.
Please.
And I will send an email as well, possibly over the weekend, just to, give everybody a fresh reminder.
Right, so it'd be a lot better if everybody takes a look at them before the meeting on Tuesday. Good. All right, we'll move on. Our next meeting date is June 15th. Have you received anything, Carla, about the continuation of the online meetings? Will there be any change for the next month?
I will know on the 20th, so in 2 days, on a Saturday.
Okay.
I find out. So as soon as I find out, you'll know.
Okay, very good. Thank you. All right, and I understand that for next month's agenda, we have someone coming from the Office of Cannabis Management for a presentation. And we have an executive session regarding the procedure for the liquor license. Is there anything else anybody would like to add to next month's agenda?
Yes, just a reminder of nominations, which we will have then know exactly who the nominees are going to be, and then the vote at the general. So
Okay,
hoping to have all that said. What else? Just
all right, anything else?
the bylaws. Just make sure that everybody got a copy of the bylaws, make sure everybody understands it, just as a precautionary thing in June, just to make sure. And that's it on my end.
Good.
Oh,
Anything?
Yahira?
Yes,
Verna Calderon. Just reminding, we will be taking nominations from the floor
correct.
at the May meeting
Next
for
week,
the
right?
executive positions.
But since at the exec, we can discuss if anybody has any issues, anything that comes up, we can discuss it there as well.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, any other issues that anybody would like to bring up before we close? All right, can I have a motion to close this meeting?
I move to adjourn the meeting tonight.
All right, a seconded? By everybody?
We all second it.
Okay, very good. All in favor, I'm sure everybody is.
Aye.
Very, very interesting meeting, though. I was glad that